are we all living right now? In 2025, how are we all getting by? Friends, fellow Americans, how are we living? How are you getting by? I don't believe there's a middle class anymore. I believe middle class is now low income, and low income is now just not surviving. So what brings me to this today is, well, a few things. One thing, for example, our town has been building these apartments, and every town is required to give so much percentage to affordable housing.
Hey everybody, Bull Boom Bear Bust. I'm going to react to a few people talking about the economy today. I haven't seen this. Let's hear what affordable housing is going for, or low income housing here. Let me rewind it just a bit here and restart this.
And every town is required to give so much percentage to affordable housing. And so they've announced that the lottery is beginning for the low income section of this apartment building at $2,300 a month for a 2-bedroom. A 1-bedroom was like $2,100.
Affordable housing, folks, and you have to put in a lottery and get selected to even be able to have the luxury of getting these affordable apartments. $2,300. That's insane. And what did she say for a 1-bedroom? Was it $2,100?
A 1-bedroom was like $2,100.
Wow.
That's how much you would have to make basically a week. And that's low income.
So you'd have to make that much per week. So basically the apartment cutoff is 4 times. It sounds like 4 times the rent. Wow. Okay, continue.
Very exciting news. I called it out. Many people agreed. Some didn't. You can kind of see where we're going with that. Who's not struggling right now and who is and understands.
Folks, let's just go with the 1-bedroom. $2,100 a month for affordable housing, and you have to win the lottery to even have the privilege of moving into one of these apartments. $2,100 for a 1-bedroom. And you have to be, I mean, basically low income is $80,000 now. I mean, what's that for to qualify for that? I mean, so now you make $100,000 and you're still basically in poverty at these prices.
Another example.
Well, at least some good things here. At least she bought her coffee at Dunkin' Donuts instead of Starbucks. So she's doing something right, maybe.
At this day and time, everyone I'm sure has cut back. I can be honest, I no longer eat 3 meals a day, maybe 1. I mean, I do have an eating issue anyway, but so it's easy for me to do that. But what about the people that don't? Like, you can't afford to eat anymore. I remember when things were normal, I have a Market Basket as our local grocery store, and I could get a full week's of groceries, full week's worth of groceries for $100 or less. Eggs were 99 cents. It was just the affordable grocery store. It is still the most affordable grocery store, but that $100 is now $300. My son buys the same groceries every week when he was by himself, before he had his son. And it used to be between 40 and 50 bucks. He was a single guy. But then it went to 100 bucks for the same exact grocery list, like the same exact things.
So according to her, prices have doubled in food. I don't think it's that bad. Maybe she's right though. Maybe wherever they shop at, maybe prices have doubled. Prices have went up a lot, and we're going to talk about that a little bit later in this report. Food prices just went up again, just like we warned you about last year. We said this was going to get worse. It's going to continue to happen. Let's finish up with what she has to say. We're going to have a lot of economic news on the other side of this here later in this video.
It's just not sustainable for anybody. And then if God forbid, like that, what has just happened to us, you run into any kind of crisis, because we have very recently, we're in it right now.
Car breaks down.
What do you do? What do you do? Because there's no money to put away anymore.
You have to go to the emergency room.
There's no money. Every ounce of what we had was going into the bills that we started back when things were more affordable. But as costs were rising, those same bills are now double, but with the same income. But I mean, what do people do? I know, like, side hustles, everyone's doing side hustles now, but then it's harder to get side hustles because everybody needs them. And when you have a full-time job where you're working 40, 50, I don't even think full-time is 40 anymore, like say 50, 60 hours. My son works 60 hours a week and still can't afford anything after caring for his son. He can't afford anything. And I just don't know how
Is that why our son's grocery bill doubled? He had a son? Could be.
people are doing it. And like I said, I don't know when crisis hits, what are people supposed to do? The only people making out right now are people that have the money and can afford this kind of economy. And that being said, the only other thing I see that is so frustrating to me is there's people out there that don't work, but yet somehow they're still thriving.
It's called food banks and other ways that people they're given things to help them get by. But the food banks are having problems too. It was last year we started talking about the food banks, talked about they're getting low. And the way the news came out last year, you would have thought that the banks would be out of food now, the way it was kind of a dire thing back then. But I haven't heard of food banks running out of food. We'll have to check in on that maybe in our next report. But first, let's get into the news that I want you to hear from some other people giving their take on this economy and this cost of living, inflation, everything. Recent news, folks. Grocery prices just spiked to the highest level in 3 years. Bills are climbing. It's not just your imagination. A new report reveals a surge in food prices, leaving many Americans feeling the pinch, folks. We warned you about this last year, the year before that. We said prices are going to continue to climb because all the things that are leading to higher prices are still happening right now, right? We haven't given up on the money being thrown out there, what we call helicopter money. People still have credit cards to buy things they can't afford. That's going to make prices go higher. Businesses are still outsourcing, still leaving the U.S., more leaving than coming here. Even with the tariffs have been a failure. They've been a cause, one of the causes to higher prices. But companies are coming back for the most part. There's still more jobs being sent away than are being brought in to the United States, right? That's happening because the cost of living here is so high. Companies do not want to be here. They don't want to pay the high cost, the high salaries, the high wages. They don't want to chip in on the health insurance, which a lot of employers will pay for part of your health insurance if you work for them, and you'll have to pay part of it. But they don't want to do that because the cost of healthcare keeps going up and health insurance keeps going up. So there's a lot of reasons why companies don't want to open up shop here in the U.S. But again, no surprise, no shock. We told you this was going to happen several years ago. The things were just going to continue to get worse.
There just feels like no hope right now. And if you just want to vent it out, leave it in the comments below. And I don't have any answers to this, obviously.
No one ever has any answers, do they? I mean, if you have answers, let me know down in the comments. I have a couple answers. What we need is a complete economic meltdown. And then we need to figure out what caused this. We know what caused it, but we need a discussion on what caused this. It needs to be put out there. That helicopter money and lower interest rates and making it easier for people to borrow money and go into debt, all those things make the cost of living go higher. They make prices go higher. Right? There needs to be some sort of limitation set on how much money, how much debt people can take on. I mean, it's no coincidence that price levels are the highest now they've ever been. Maybe not in inflation, but price levels are the highest they've ever been. And the debt is also the highest it's ever been. Consumer debt is way over 18 trillion now. This is way worse than what it was during the financial crisis. And a lot of people are reporting very difficult times getting a job right now. People unemployed for 3 months, 6 months, 12 months. And having to do just side hustles full time because they can't get a full time job. Take a listen to someone that's having kind of a struggle right now, just finding a job in this economy.
I have been unemployed for 9 months. I left my last job because of personal issues, and it was just time for me to move on. I have actively been looking for a job for the last 5 months. I spend every week submitting 50 to 100 job applications. I do multiple rounds of interviews. I get callbacks, then they're rescheduled. Then this is rescheduled. And then I get a rejection letter. And sometimes I don't get a rejection letter until 3, 4, 6 weeks later. And not starved, I applied for a part-time position in the deli at Whole Foods. I got an interview today for 11:45 a.m. I woke up early, got dressed, did my hair, did my makeup, was really excited to hopefully get hired. And then I show up 5 minutes early and am told that the interviewer or the hiring manager just went on their lunch break. And can I please wait outside for 15 minutes?
What kind of company does that? You set an appointment interview and they're on lunch break. It's a bad sign.
I said, sure.
It's Whole Foods.
No problem. Probably just got their wires crossed, right? It's just like an automatic system that like schedules these interviews. You know, I don't want to interrupt their day. Like, let them have their lunch break. Okay. And then 25 minutes goes by and nobody's come to get me. And it's now encroaching on 30 minutes past my scheduled interview time. So I go up to the service desk and I say, hey, can I speak to the hiring manager? He says, oh yeah, because you're here for an interview, right? So he calls the interviewer or the hiring manager on the walkie-talkie. He says, hey, you have your appointment, your interview here. I'm still on break.
Just leave. You don't want to work any place that's that unorganized. It's that mess. It sounds like a bunch of buffoons are working there. Just because somebody's a hiring manager doesn't mean they're smart. It just means that probably no one else stayed there long enough to obtain the position. And also, maybe it's not even that they're not smart. It's just that they don't care. They just don't give a care, right? They treat people badly. They flake out on interviews, right? Let me know down in the comments what you think about that. Also, reports of people having interviews but just getting ghosted, never hearing back either a yes or a no. And some people think there's even a data collection kind of a scheme behind the interviews.
Okay, I have to get this off my chest because I am really pissed about it. If you are in the market currently and looking for work and you are over the age of 40, I think you need to know something about what I believe companies are doing. My husband has been looking for work and he's had plenty of interviews, but 3 of these interviews have stuck out to me. And the reason is because they've gone all the way through like 5th round interviews and 6th round interviews. During these interviews, each company has asked him to solve a hypothetical situation for their company and asked him to present to their C-suite executives how they would solve this. What type of strategy would they use? Would he use? That type of thing. So he'll, spend a week creating a deck and get into the interview, and the CEO's there and the hiring manager, and then like 10 other people are there, and everybody's really engaged and they ask a ton of questions and things like that. So my husband thinks the interview went really well, and then they'll say, okay, we'll have a decision by the end of the week and we'll let you know either way. And my husband's like, great. And then the end of the week comes, nothing. He's completely ghosted. And he'll follow up with them and say, via email or whatever, because obviously you don't have phone numbers, and they don't respond at all.
Why no phone numbers? It sounds like they're trying to get ideas out of people instead of hiring somebody to come up with ideas. I think they're just trying to get them via the interviews. So maybe they get a whole bunch of different ideas because of different people are applying, and that's cheaper than hiring someone. Pretty interesting. I don't know.
And this has happened to him 3 different times. So obviously I realize I'm biased, but rather than it just being my husband, I honestly think that these companies are using interviewees to mine for ideas, for strategies, for information, rather than hiring a full-time employee and paying them a salary and benefits. And I think it's absolute bullshit. And they know that there's nothing that interviewees can do about it, because out here we are desperate for jobs.
People are desperate. They're not going to lash out against the possible employer.
And, you know, companies don't want to hire right now because the economy sucks. I could just be crazy thinking this, but, you know.
She's not crazy, folks. The economy is deteriorating. It's getting worse. If you're looking for a job, it's getting harder and harder to find a job. And a lot of people that are looking for jobs right now have a job. It's just not paying enough. So that's why you've got one job comes out and you got 600 people applying for one job. And it's just ridiculous, the amount of competition out there. Plus, you've got all these people that got laid off recently. Layoff numbers, the highest since 2020. Things are hitting the fan, folks. Slowly but surely, things are hitting the fan. The only thing that's going to fix this is a complete crash. And that's going to be really painful, but that's the only thing that's going to fix this, where the whole thing just implodes. But they're doing everything they can do to keep this going, folks. More throwing money at the problem, which means higher prices. They're probably going to drop rates here, which is going to probably start reinflating some of these bubbles, the price bubbles. And it looks like it's going to get worse, folks, from here unless something big happens. But let me know, drop a comment, and catch you in the next video. Bye for now.